that's something that I've always kind of said about those shows. It's like, you kind of it's like a crash course, and then you're kind of spit out into this showbiz world, and it's not easy as everybody thinks it is.
Hi, Taylor.
Tiffany, how are you?
Good. I'm so glad to have you on What's Mine Is Yours.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So obviously, before millions watched you and knew you from American Idol, you had already been performing. You'd already been kind of trying to build a music career the real way, not like, I don't want to say the real way, but not on a television show.
It is the real way.
But when you look back at the person that you were before American Idol, what do you think those years prepared you for that you couldn't have learned any other way?
So I started performing and touring when I was 18, and I had this vision that I wanted to be an entertainer. And I knew that it was going to take a good while to do that. And I think a lot of the lessons along the way is that, I was told no a bunch of times, whether it be from, CDs that I'd send out to record labels here in Nashville and all over. And, I think it kind of that 10-year overnight success story, right?
Sure.
That people say, the 10 years allowed me to kind of harden myself for the business.
That's not, yeah.
And I think that, you have to have a really hard shell in this business.
You do.
And I think, I was very fortunate to be able to win American Idol at 28.
Is that how old you were?
Yeah, I'm the oldest. As of this point, I'm the oldest Idol winner.
Oldest?
Oldest Idol winner ever.
Oh my gosh, that's not even old.
28.
Okay.
So, but to be honest, it was old considering the 10 years that I had spent on the road and
Fair.
all of that. So when I look back on it, I was blessed, and I think it was a little bit of a silver lining for me that 28 was the year that I kind of caught the break, so to speak. And it just took that long to learn all the ropes.
Sure.
And I felt like I had some ropes, not many, but a few after the break to be able to keep going.
Yeah. Well, and because you had so much experience on the road and you were performing and doing all those things, obviously American Idol is about your voice. But at the same time, do you think that was an advantage for you on American Idol, that you already had a lot of stage presence?
Interestingly enough, when I was on American Idol, we were doing, we started doing multiple songs towards the end of the competition. And I kind of looked around, and I think a lot of the contestants that were on the show were kind of freaking out because they had to sing 4.5 total minutes on the show as opposed to 2.5. So I used to sing 4.5 hours on stage and honky-tonks and bars. And I mean, sometimes I wouldn't take a break, so I think those kinds of things, like knowing and performing as much as I did when I got to American Idol. And honestly, there was quite an age difference between me and the other contestants towards the end. I mean, I think Catherine McPhee is probably closer to my age, and Elliot. So there were a few people that were kind of close to my age. But then, you had Paris Bennett, and you had some of these, contestants that were 8 or 9 years younger than me. So I had a little bit more tread on the tires.
Okay. Now, when it comes to stage presence and what you were able to learn, what did you learn through American Idol that you've taken on after with the amount of performing?
Wow. Just that kind of show, and luckily and fortunately being on it for as long as I did, was a real crash course in show business. I mean, 6 months, of television basically is what you're on. You're in the bubble for 6 months. So, I think the longer that you're in the bubble, the more that you learn about it.
Sure.
And the personalities that you have to deal with and stuff. That's something that I've always kind of said about those shows. It's like, you kind of it's like a crash course, and then you're kind of spit out into this showbiz world, and it's not easy as everybody thinks it is.
No. Okay, so now something that I've always been interested in about those shows, and I know they've changed over the years, but for the most part, it's kind of stayed the same. And I'm not comparing music shows to, say, like Love Island, where they all are in a house, but it's a competition. And so I always think you're building relationships with people while you're on those shows. So how do you deal with making relationships and friendships with people, but knowing that someone else's downfall could be your opportunity?
Well, on Idol, we had so many different styles of contestants.
Okay. Oh, yeah, true.
So I think stylistically speaking, because there were so many different, styles of music, there wasn't that much of a competition other than the fact of
there's one winner.
Who one winner, but who gets voted off. But honestly, it wasn't necessarily about if we had, for instance, if there were singers in my genre, kind of like the Blue-Eyed Soul, on that particular show, there really wasn't another Blue-Eyed Soul singer other than Elliot Yamin, who I'm still amazingly friends with, but he was kind of really neo-soul, and I was kind of like Blue-Eyed Soul, country soul, like I was a little bit more country, but like then you had like Kelly Pickler, country.
Totally.
You had Paris Bennett, singer, Mandisa gospel, Daughtry rock. So the spectrum of all of the styles of music in Idol that season for me, yes, it was competitive, but it was more like an "aw shucks, I got to go home," not like you beat me out. Okay. Now there was a little bit, after the show, everybody's career kind of did different things, and there's some competitive like introspection from competitive nature, like because you see different parts of people's career do different things. I mean, I say this because I'm very fortunate to be able to be on a show where there's, 4 or 5 people that are still in the business after 20 years, obviously. True. So, I mean, that's, but there was a little bit, but stylistically speaking, I think it differed, which helped a lot in our, to stay friends and keep in touch with each other.
Well, that's really good to know. But overall, in general, because we all know, I think it'd be silly of us to say that the music industry isn't competitive in its own nature. Did that show help you learn anything about the idea of competition in general?
Yeah. When you started learning the record business after you got out, because I mean, winning the show, you get a record contract, right? I never had a record contract until I won the show. I had a management deal, that I ended up, that ended up popping up out of nowhere after I won American Idol. And I had to adhere to that to a certain degree. So I basically had to, but as far as like the ins and outs of actually the record industry, immediately when you get into a deal like that, you learn all about it. I mean, Clive Davis was my dude, right? And so, he has a very polarizing reputation in the business. You either love him or you hate him, right?
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about the record business. How singles are driven, if they decide on a second single for you, if your record is ever going to be released or not. I mean, I started hearing horror stories about, companies signing you and then not even releasing your records. That for me, I was very blessed because I knew they had to release a record on me. And they would probably, if they signed you, if you did win or if you did become the runner-up, then you would be able to be, you knew your music was going to go out there.
Well, I was about to say, it's kind of like you go off of something where millions are watching you, so it's kind of like strike while the iron's hot. I mean, you are now at the center of what a lot of people are thinking of right now. And we all know in this industry, things move very fast, and there's the new and shiny thing that comes along very quickly. So why not strike while the iron's hot? And that's a lot of pressure for a winner of a show of that style, because it's like, okay, what I put out right now, that's what hopefully.
And, speaking of stylistically, I mean, they probably should have done a country soul record on me. But instead, the music was so, the numbers of Idol at that time were just, the viewership was just so massive.
Bonkers.
That they had to, put me in kind of the hot AC, more hot 100. So the record that I made, and I love the record, Matt Serletic's record, it was skewed very hot AC. It was kind of on the, believe it or not, did Michelle Branch do a song with Santana?
Yeah, she did.
Okay, was it a little bit of this, a little?
I think so. I think so.
I don't know the title of it,
but I do remember her doing a song.
So,
with him.
My producer of the Idol record was Matt Serletic, who ended up doing. And the reason why I say Michelle Branch is because I believe she's going on tour, and I would definitely, I would definitely go see her actually. But I bring this up. I say all this to say this. Her record was basically kind of very similar. We had the same producer. Santana was on it. Santana wasn't on my record, but the producer stylistically was the same. So that kind of sound was very, very reminiscent. Her hits, her record was very reminiscent of my post-Idol record, because it was produced by the same guy. It's kind of it was in the hot AC vein that could easily be moved over to hot 100, hot 100 pop music. In all reality, I probably should have done kind of a Stapleton thing, because I mean that's kind of the vein that I'm in. But that's the kind of things that I learned as far as what you asked me about. That's kind of some of the things that I learned about the business of music recording.
So, I mean, we were talking about, so now Idol ends, and I don't think a lot of people talk about this, especially winners or people that were on the show, of what emotionally comes next. Did you feel prepared for once that ended?
I don't think I was prepared for anything, at that point in time. I mean, 28, my family, it was just holding on for dear life,
Sure.
And while it's funny, everybody could make money off you. Every person around you could make money off you. Your family can.
Yeah.
Right? Your agent can, your manager can, the record label can, the everybody that you could possibly think of in your world can make money. And so as savvy as some of those people were around me, it was just a nonstop, peck at, like, you didn't have any time. So you kind of learned how to weed out all that, as time went on,
Well, speaking of that, I guess like what I was going to ask you next was, there's something about that kind of sudden fame, because you go from millions watching you, something about sudden fame like that you were not warned about. Would that be something that's one of them, that everyone's making money off of you?
Yeah, everybody makes money off of you. The one thing for me though is that, it was a vision and a calling for me is, everybody's kid at 4 years old can sing. Everybody's parents that are, but then all of a sudden, my path, I found Ray Charles at like 9 or 10, and then I did a complete deep dive into the Stax Soul Review and watching VHS tapes of Otis Redding at like 12 or 13. So, looking back on that from a bird's eye perspective, that's a path that, is kind of an anomaly for, I was completely immersed into, 60s and 70s, R&B and, and then all the while, learning this instrument, where I would play towards air conditioners and trains and cars. So it was a very unconventional way of learning an instrument. So there was an ear there, so then, I ended up playing, then ended up playing guitar and then writing. And then, so it was, everything was kind of, all the stars were pointing towards, look, get into the grind, you can do it, and that's kind of you have to have a lot of self-belief.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like no one's going to believe in you more than you.
Right. And you have to put the pieces together. For me, I'm a good example of, if I were managing an artist, I would probably manage an artist that were probably making the rounds in you know, at an early age, kind of the path, you know, it's not just being able to sing and play a D and G chord and playing minor league baseball and then trying to come to Nashville and sing. That don't cut it with me. And I really honestly don't think it it makes any sense with America too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there has to be some sort of edgy, weird, you know, vibe to create the artistic emotion.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things that, you know, I ended up doing for, you know, to get to where. So the like when you're talking about fame, like I was preparing for it in my mind for a long time. So when it happened, the crossover from, you know, obscurity to notoriety was very easy for me to do. I always enjoy people that I haven't seen in a long time saying, man, you're the same dude that you know, was playing, you know, with me.
That's a huge compliment.
It is. That's the compliment that I look for.
Yeah.
But it was also just having a vision and knowing that you're putting all these things together and they're not necessarily what everybody else is doing, but you're kind of plotting a course.
For sure.
You know? So
when did you realize that winning American Idol and then building a lasting career moving forward were two totally different challenges?
You know, when some of the big offers stop coming in, right? You know, when the money kind of, you know, you know, things start. It's peaks and valleys, right? Fair. And so when you're in the valley, you know, you learn a lot of lessons. You learn more lessons in the valley than you do. You know, you don't you don't have time to think about things at the peak. You know, but when there's not as much work and there's not as much, and you're trying to figure out how to reinvent yourself, and you know, that's where the rubber meets the road for someone that can really be able to be in the business for as long as I have. Shit.
Well, how quickly would you say celebration turned into decisions, pressure, expectations?
Well, you know, after, you know, it's funny. It's like, you know, one thing, it's like, people never ask you about the thing that you did in the past. It's always like, what's coming up next? Right? Like,
yeah.
What do you got coming out? What do you got? You know, it's never about like it's not about the success that you had necessarily before. It's always about.
Sometimes it's the success that obviously the past that makes somebody, right? And that's why, you know, a lot of the time why they're there.
Yeah.
You know?
It's weird. It's kind of it's a super weird thing. You know, people, you know, you just have to just grin and bear it and just know that you're being as nice as you can to people, and you know that this is the business you wanted to be in, and it's not going to be hunky-dory always.
So now it's been 20 years, right? Since you were on? Okay, so is there a decision within those first few years after Idol that you would approach differently now? Not because you regret it, but because you understand more now?
Oh yeah, I totally do understand now about, you know, a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically, yeah, you definitely learn a lot in this business about, especially, like I said, when you're in the valleys, and it's always funny, the same, you know, I don't know who told me this, but it was kind of one of those things, like, I don't know if it was someone that was like, that I was like right after Idol, maybe I was in craft services at like in the bottom of like this building, you know, drinking coffee, or like someone making dinner, and it's like a late night, and this old lady, she's like, I've been in the business 50 years. She was like, and she looked, I don't know, I'd like to think that this is where this came from, so I might be embellishing. The people that you meet on the way up are the same people that you're going to meet on the way down.
I've actually never heard that.
And I was really happy that, you know, that I'm going to say that that's where I heard it. I don't want to, because I just feel like it's that like voice of God that comes out of some, you know, and I remember hearing that right, like pretty early on in my career, like literally like months after it. And it stopped me in my tracks, because it made me realize that, you know, a star always fades.
It's very true.
And that I'm going to have to deal with, you know, and it kind of just, And I've always really adhered to that, you know?
Yeah.
But yes, you do learn a ton.
Yeah.
I'm almost want to be like, is that thing on?
Okay. It looks nice though.
It does.
So obviously now moving forward in music that you've released since, I know one song that you do perform quite often from time to time for certain reasons is the song 19, which is a really, really powerful song about a fallen soldier. And what made you want to record that and tell that story?
So Gary Nicholson and Jeffrey Steele wrote that song.
Love Jeffrey Steele.
Yeah, he's amazing. And it's been around for a long, long time. And I think it was released a couple times, but, I just don't ever think it, that song, whether released or not, it just should get the love, in my opinion, should get as much love as it could possibly get. I recorded it on a couple of records ago that I did, and I just and I play it out live, So I've never really put any marketing or never really put anything out, but it is about a fallen soldier, and the reaction, the moment that I performed that song live, I'll never forget. We were I don't know where we were at, but we were in an audience. I just remembered the audience, and you can see the storyline of, this number 19 who went off to war and ended up saving the guy he was talking about. I mean, the storyline, you can see the emotional, response that you get when the song is performed, and during that time, I just thought to myself, wow, this is getting a big reaction. So I just kept playing it. It was appropriate for me to just kind of think about it and say, you know what, this song needs to give, I need to give this song a little bit more love. So obviously for America's 250th, and especially right now, this is just something that I decided to give the song a little bit more love. And it's about a fallen soldier, and it's called 19.
What do you hope now when you play it live? What do you hope people feel when they hear it?
Well, I kind of landed on this, as much as we need to celebrate, we also need to reflect. And I think that song really takes us into a reflective moment where we do have to recognize those that have fought for our country and have lost their lives. Not only that, but the families of people, being an only child and, having parents that lose an only child. I mean, that's tough. And I think as much as there's all this celebration, I think also there needs to be some reflection.
Very good point. And I know you just released a single called "The Mirror," which is obviously very different from 19.
Completely.
But it's nice. It shows another side of you. So tell me about that song. And I know you are a co-writer on that. You wrote that, right? So tell me about that song.
So Adam Hood and Adam, he's a great songwriter from Alabama. He's written a lot with Miranda Lambert. And, I was going through, kind of a breakup and kind of a narcissistic relationship,
don't we hate those?
The narcissistic bite in a relationship is always very tough. So I started studying about it, and I just thought to myself, as more as I studied about it, started kind of learning about, being in a relationship like that, it kind of opened my eyes up. I mean, everybody has a little bit of narcissism.
I think everybody does.
Everybody, you always say that. Everybody does,
Anyone who says there's not,
everybody
they're
has
lying.
Everybody can have big egos sometimes, but there's a line that I learned, and then as I was learning about all this, can you tell I'm getting uncomfortable? As I'm learning about all this, at the same time I'm thinking, well, you should write a song about it. And so I'm learning this, and I'm going through all of this, and it was very therapeutic. It's probably one of the most therapeutic songs that I've ever written because, as I was going through this, it was really great. And Adam's he's a good song, he's a good lyricist, and it's funny. We had I was creating this idea that, Oz was I kind of looked at it from a Wizard of Oz perspective, because Oz was the hero in love with his own reflection, and so I kind of, I had some imagery there where, sometimes you meet people that can only see themselves, and, whether that's, a good thing or bad thing, sometimes it can hurt people in relationships.
Yeah. So what would you say a song like The Mirror allows you to express that maybe a more serious song like 19? Like, would you prefer one more than the other? Like doing something a little bit more lighthearted?
Well, I definitely like I like the stuff that evokes as much as emotion. I mean, 19 is, as many people as I want to touch with 19, I also want to touch with The Mirror.
Of course, yeah. Just in a different way.
Yeah, just in a different way, do I want the chick who just went through a really narcissistic breakup to hear The Mirror and go like, oh my God, that's me? Absolutely. That's kind of the reason why I wrote it to a certain degree, because I was going through it and I wanted somebody else to be like, sometimes you get in those.
Absolutely. You do.
I
think not that I want everybody to experience that, but I think everybody probably should experience one, because it's good to.
Yeah, it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot.
Those teach you a lot.
Yeah.
I almost married one, so if that means anything.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting cards.
They move in the shadows a little bit too.
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. Move in the shadows is not good.
Do you feel that the artist you are today is closer to the person you were before American Idol, or is it something completely new?
I think I'm closer to the artist that I was. If you listen to some pre-American Idol records, I definitely am. It's a lot more closer to me, than the Southern soul guy. That's kind of what I am. It's country, blues, and soul. It's funny, Chris Stapleton, he used to send me cuts, like songs to record, because he was pitching songs. And I was like, man, golly, it's like, I never got to write with him, but I was like, man, it's like, damn, I wish I could.
It's never too late.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, it was just amazing, because I was like, golly, that voice should be heard.
Yeah.
I think everybody kind of, when Stapleton sends you a song, you're just like, damn, man.
I always say he could sing the phone book and you would feel something, even though it's like there's nothing really in it. But if he sings it, you'd feel something anyway. You go, why do I feel something?
Yeah, and he's opened up a lot of, doors for the Southern soul artists.
Yeah.
The country soul guy,
Yep. Okay, so now let's talk about you returning to American Idol, because you actually got back on the stage. What did you feel when you got back on that stage to sing again?
Well, a few of the same people that were in the crew and in the production, and the executive producer Megan is just such a gem, and some of those people that I was on the show with are still there.
They're still there. Wow.
So after 20 years.
After so many changes too.
So yeah, so the executive producer Megan Michaels is Megan's still there, and then Norm, and the Katie, the girl that actually let me through in my cattle call, the first ever audition, she's still on the show.
Oh my gosh.
So it was like so nostalgic to go back and see those people and stuff. Now, the set changed a little bit. We're not in CBS studios anymore. The fact that we could not sneak over into The Price is Right and play on the big wheel.
You used to do that?
Plinko. Yeah, I think I've told that, but we used to sneak over and play. It was crazy. We were literally, right next door, and we were working late hours. So,
okay.
It was fun. We being in that studio, it just kind of made me reminisce about all the things that we had going on.
For sure.
Very, very. What an awesome ride.
So with everything you've experienced and the success you've had, but what does success mean to Taylor Hicks now?
I think touching as many people as you can, lives, through your music or through your entertainment, medium, in whichever you decide to choose, making people happy and feeling something. That's kind of been my my thing all along. You know, I mean, that's kind of what has made me tick. And if I tick, I can make someone else tick. I just hope that they don't get a tick.
For sure. I know someone that got one. That's not good. We don't want them to get that type of tick.
No, we don't.
Okay, so I am interested. If you were on American Idol today, what would you audition with?
Probably a Stapleton song.
Okay.
You know.
Well, that seems like it's pretty like.
But I know so much about the show and like what they want and stuff, and I mean maybe that might be like a little bit of a tidbit on on maybe like a little pointer or something. But you want to sing something, and then they allow your own cover, your own.
They allow instruments now and everything.
Stuff. See, our season was the last season where it was basically a microphone. So all these instruments that I learned my whole life, I worked my butt off.
You couldn't have it.
No, I was. But I
remember liking it then, though. Like with you, I feel like were you the last year with Simon or no?
No, I was 1 year before.
Okay, because the original 3 is like, I mean, no offense to any of the other judges, but I'm just saying that was like the American Idol years, I think, personally. Not to be.
I'm very fond of my season.
Okay, so what are you excited about now? I know there's some things coming up for you that you're about to be doing.
I can't say, but I'm excited about a few things. I'm obviously working on some new music. A lot of people don't realize, but I've got. I recorded basically a whole record, and then I just kind of did some things. I didn't release music, but now in the last couple of years, I've started releasing. So I have some music that I've recorded, and I think just kind of plotting along. I mean, it's a single-driven market now. It's, I mean, I had a record ready to like release. Yeah. Right. But then all of a sudden, as I started thinking about it, everybody's kind of started single.
I know, I hate it
because it's But
it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't. I'm just like, it's crazy how artists, all of us, have to try to keep the attention of people. I mean, the attention span
Don't get me started.
of an American. I'd like to actually know. Like what the attention span of an American.
I heard it's like 20 seconds
today versus like what it was even like 10 years ago.
It's awful. It's awful.
So how do you ring people's bell anymore?
Listen.
You do a podcast? Yeah.
Okay, so before we get you going, what about a television show that you think you're going to be a part of? Can you talk about that?
No.
You're not allowed to talk about that. We got to.
Well. No, I can't. I'm not been given the green light to, but if you'll have me back.
Okay. All right.
When it all gets going and released, I will bust in here and tell you all the things.
Okay. I will. I'm going to hold you to that. So lastly, Taylor, what is something that you haven't accomplished yet that you are just like, I need to check that off my bucket list. I want to accomplish it.
I kind of dipped my toe into the, into the serious acting world, right? I went in and I did a show in Serenby, Georgia, where, it was a serious, because everything that I've done up until this point has been, it's been fun and lighthearted. And, even my character on American Idol, was like lighthearted and fun, right? So I think this next go around for me, something that I would really like to get into would be more of a serious role in a movie, possibly.
Absolutely.
And so I've kind of gone down there. But what's funny is that, I couldn't, people wouldn't take me seriously until I actually did something serious. So I was in like a little regional play in Atlanta called Shenandoah, which was an old Jimmy Stewart movie that they adapted into a Broadway play. So I have done a little bit of serious acting, but I think seeing another serious side of me as opposed to the lightheartedness, that's something that I would like to achieve. But, you just never can say no in this business at all. No. You just have to say yes, whether you know how to do it or not.
Fake it till you make it.
I mean, basically.
Just for the job
some people
you want.
Have really freaking fake.
It's a lot of it.
I mean.
Isn't that what it's all about, Taylor? Come on. Show business, baby.
You know, it's funny that it's funny about LA and all of the cities, I guess, associated with New York. This is like they blow smoke up your butt, and they blow smoke up your butt in LA. They blow around it in Nashville.
They sure do. All right.
The end on that. That's funny. But yes, fake it till you make it. We can get back on that one.
All right. Well, because I do want to end with something a little bit more.
How about this for lighthearted?
Amazing. I
Thank
can't
you.
imagine anywhere else to end.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you,
so
Taylor.
lovely. Thanks for having me. I'm coming back.
Yeah, I want to know about the show.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Taylor.
Love you.